There are certain truisms about trading that are obvious but not always followed. Namely, always trade in the direction of the trend, and the longer term trend is stronger than the shorter term trend. This is a chart using dual data trading on the 5-minute ESE Mini with hidden data of 20 minutes. The dashed line indicator at the bottom of the chart is the LS oscillator and is plotted on 20-minute data. One thing to note is how smooth the indicator line is. This is a reminder that if data is choppy, longer-term data smooths it out. You can see a couple of divergences here on the chart. The equity is moving down here, whereas the LS oscillator is moving up here for a positive divergence. Over here, the equity moves up slightly, and the LS oscillator continues on down for a negative divergence. I've now added the profit trend paint bars, and you can see clear confirmation of enter and exit signals. Here you would enter as the LS oscillator crosses above the trigger line right here. You would not enter over here even though the equity turns blue, because the LS oscillator is still well below the trigger line. Over here is a good point to exit. As you can see, the first red paint bar appears and the LS oscillator starts down right in this area. I've added another indicator that's part of the XHT trading package, and it's called market heat. And you can see right in here how it turns green quite early in this uptrend, and how it moves below this Bollinger Band right here quite early in this downtrend. Another feature of this indicator is right in this area. You can see some red dots on the zero line and some white dots. When the red dots appear, that represents a Bollinger Band squeeze. When you have a Bollinger Band squeeze, you can expect a change in direction of the equity. Here we can see the equity move down. We've got the squeeze here. We've got the divergence in here. So it sets up for a very nice up move right in here. Over in here, when the LS oscillator on the 20-minute data moves below the trigger line and the squeeze is on right here, and the market heat moves down below its trigger line right in here and turns red, that's a good area to short the equity right in this area here. This is a chart of a 3-minute ESE Mini on another day with 10-minute hidden data. Now you can see how choppy this chart is, up and down, up and down. However, its choppiness is within a continuing downtrend right here. You can see that the LS oscillator plotted on the 10-minute data crossed below the trigger line right in here and continued below the trigger line all the way down, ignoring all this choppiness in here, showing that it was a good short move all the way along here and then more of a sudden drop right at the end. The point being that when you plot the LS oscillator on longer term data, it allows you to stay in a trade longer than you would if you were only trading on the 3-minute chart. This chart on another day of the 5-minute ESE Mini with 20-minute data hidden shows some additional indicators in the XHT trading package. These red crosses at the top of the chart here represent yesterday's high, the cyan crosses yesterday's close, and the green crosses yesterday's low. Bias lights down here indicate when they are green that the bias is to the upside. When they are yellow, it is neutral, and when they are red, it indicates the bias of the equity is to the downside. Here again we see the LS oscillator on the 20-minute data, and you can see it moving down here. It crosses the trigger line right here and moves above this Fibonacci indicator right here, which is a dynamic Fibonacci indicator. When the equity moves above it, you would go long. When it moves below the Fibonacci, you would go short. Another indicator which is very helpful is today's open, and this puts a yellow line on the chart throughout the day and starts at the opening of the day over to the left. Very often the high of yesterday acts as resistance to the equity today. However, in this case, the equity blasted right up through yesterday's high. You can see that this was the only trade of the day as the LS oscillator crossed above the trigger line right here, which is in the equity is above the Fibonacci retracement indicator. So this is the good indication to go long right in here. Another indicator in the XHT trading package I call trend lights, which is a series of red and green dots. The dots are green when the trend is up and red when the trend is down. You want to get at least 3 or 4 of these dots to agree, showing the trend all in the same direction. You put the crosshairs through these dots, you can see that 4 dots are lined up here, all positive, showing the trend is up. You can see where that crosses through the equity, right up in here, and it's showing the trend is up. In combination with the other indicators, this is a very early indication of an uptrend.